welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, my name is Jennifer. Welcome. Today I have a new topic that I'd like to talk about today, and it is books that I have read in places that I have visited, and or books I'd like to read in places that I have visited. And so I have, let's see, I have three books that I would like to read in places that I've been to, one book that I'm in the middle of, and two books that I have actually read and been to and love. And so let's start with the two books that I love and are all-time top favorites and places I visited. So the first one is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. And so this is probably in my top all-time favorite books. It takes place in London, where Lauren is the main character. And so one day she comes home to find that a new husband comes down from her attic, and she doesn't have a husband. What does this mean? And everything has kind of, some pictures have changed, some furniture has changed, and so it is like as if she has this new husband. And so different things happen, and so she goes through many different husbands. And what does this mean? What is this situation unfolding? What is just kind of relationships get built, and kind of working through this new scenario of the husbands. And so it was very good. I loved the story of this. Is very heartwarming and interesting, and so I highly recommend this one if you haven't checked it out. And I have been to London, and so I went to the first time overseas last year in May, and so I'm awesome to say that I've been to London, and I would highly recommend this one as well. And moving on to the second book that I'd highly recommend is Lock Every Door. This is Riley Sager. This was the very first book that I read by Riley Sager. I didn't know who this author was when I read this book, and I really wasn't a part of the booktube community. And it kind of got me introduced to wanting to know more about reading and people's interests and recommendations. And so it kind of got me back into reading again, which is awesome. So Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. It takes place in Manhattan in New York. And so I have been to New York. I went there for a work conference, but stayed a few extra days checking out what all New York City had to offer, including Manhattan. And so I'd highly recommend this one for sure for a good thriller read. And so it is about a young woman, Jules, gets a job at an apartment sitter at Bartholomew. And it's one of the most famous and secretive buildings. And so she's going to be apartment sitting, and then it is a thriller for sure. And so it tells what gets up to you. There's lots of twists and turns. I really love a good locked door mystery, and so I would highly recommend this one for sure. And then moving on to the one that I'm in the middle of for middle grade March, the Bookwanderers, Tilly and her friends and her grandparents, and she learns that she can actually travel into books, into stories. And the bookshop that our grandparents owns is in London, and so this is another one that takes place in London. Now I can say I've been there, done that, and love it. And so it's very exciting, and so I would recommend that one. If I could travel into books too, I would love to be able to do that, you know. And so, but as far as being able to visit places, I have been to London, and so I'm really gonna continue on with this series. It is very cute, very sweet, middle grade. I love the illustrations in this book as well. So they're just very silhouette, very black and white, but very cute. It just adds a little something extra into the story. I love that. So I love anytime there's some illustrations for sure. So I would recommend that one as well. So moving on to the three books that I would like to get to and read in places that I visited. The first one is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This would be a new series that I would like to check out. It is called The Ruling Class is the first one. It says, any problem can be fixed for a price. When Tess Kendrick is sent to stay with her older sister in Washington, D.C., she has no idea that Ivy is the Capitol's go-to fixer, a person who can make powerful people's scandals disappear with a snap of her fingers. Tess never thought she and Ivy had much in common, but when she enrolls at the elusive Hardwick School, she soon finds herself thrust into the role of high school fixer, solving problems for the children of the DC elite. And so, yeah, I went on a middle school trip to Washington, DC many years ago. And I do want to get back to DC at some point and just do the perspective of all the monuments and historical landscapes and museums that have to offer in DC as an adult. I just think it'd be very cool to compare as a kid in middle school to being there as an adult. And so I also think this would be a very fun read. I love the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and we share a first and middle name, which is kind of a fun fact. My middle name is Lynn, so Jennifer Lynn, and so very fun, and spelled the exact same way, which is kind of funny. And so I love that. And so yeah, I have been to Washington DC, and so I'm excited to try out this YA series as well. So let me know if you have read it or read anything by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. If you would like to read that series with me, let me know. Or if you liked it, didn't like it, either way, let me know for sure. The next one is The Paris Orphan by Natasha Lester. This was recommended to me, I think, from Krista from Books and Jams, and it is from Paris. And so I have actually been to Paris. I went there for a few days during my Europe trip last year. And so it is a historical fiction. Part of it, story takes place in New York City / Paris in 1942. When American model Jessica May arrives in Europe to cover the war as a photojournalist for Vogue, most of the soldiers are determined to make her life as difficult as possible, but 3 friendships can change that. And then France in 2005, 60 years after World War II, Darcy Hallworth arrives at beautiful chateau to curate a collection of famous wartime photos. But a reclusive artist, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. But Darcy has no idea that this job will uncover decades of secrets that will change everything she thought she knew about her mother, Victorian, and altered Darcy's life forever. Sounds very sweet. Sounds interesting, but it has those dumb beveled edges. I don't like these. Why this is a thing, I know. If we could get away from these beveled edges, I would much prefer it. But it's very interesting that like the synopsis is on this inside flap. I don't know, I just find it very interesting, and then there's like nothing on the inside. Just different way of portraying or having this book published. But yeah, so I just think it's kind of interesting. This would be a first book by this author that I've read. Let me know if you've read this one and if I should get to it next or not. Let me know if I should read that one. And last but not least, I have another Paris book, which is very exciting. The Paris Connection. This one is by Lorraine Brown. I've also, this will be a new author for me. But yeah, it talks about when Hannah and her boyfriend Simon set out to Amsterdam. They're confident that they'll make it to their sister's wedding in time. However, unbeknownst to them, the train is scheduled to divide in the middle of the night. And when it does, half of it continues throughout to Amsterdam, and the other half, the one that Hannah is heads 300 miles away to Paris. And so yeah, so it's kind of about how it happens when they actually have to spend the time in Paris. And so yeah, I just think it'd be kind of cool to read from a place that I've been to. And so let me know if that is something that you would be interested in reading or not as well. So hopefully this is kind of a fun, a different take and sort of reading recommendations, some books that I have read, some books that I have not, but places that I've been to. It's kind of fun to read from the perspective of a place you've been to before. Maybe easily picture it. If not, it's kind of fun. So if you have a book that you have read that you've been in the city of, share it down in the comments below. I love to hear that connection. Did you enjoy reading a book from a place that you've been to before? Do you have any books that you actually live in the town that it actually is written in? I'd love to hear that too. If you're not feeling chatty, let's do some kind of transportation emoji for either train or car. Some kind of transportation, a motorbike, motorcycle, scooter, something like that for transportation to travel. And all the places that we've been to sounds like a great win to me. So hopefully you enjoyed some recommendations. I would love to talk to you in the comments down below. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.